right, welcome to the third and final review of the week. Up this time is a game called Morphies Law, specifically Morphies Law Remorphed. Um, I think that is because it did I'm not sure if it was a relaunch or a significant upgrade or whatever, but um, this Morphe's Law has actually been floating around for quite a bit of time.
Mm.
You remember it was actually heavily promoted in a couple of like Nintendo Directs or indie videos. Like I remember Nintendo doing some heavy promotion about of it um, a while ago, um, and it's still getting content updates. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is why I got a code because they just pushed out the Angelito update, which is a I want to
It's
say
a new game mode and a few new maps.
yeah, there we go. So it's still being supported, which is good. That presumes there's enough of a player base to support these updates. So um, we got the Nintendo Switch version. So over to Galix to inform us more about Morphe's Law.
So Morphies are robots that are designed basically like those artists' posing dolls that have the ability to steal mass from other Morphies and when they shoot them, and also they like to decorate themselves in basically Day of the Dead type style paint stuff. This game has kind of a Day of the Dead aesthetic. The loot boxes are pinatas. So and like so it's a up to 4-on-4. The default play mode is online multiplayer, though there are modes for offline versus the AI in the paid versions. And even in the free versions, there's the quick match. There's a create game where you can choose a mode with your friends and stuff. And then there's an online versus AI for if you're more into the cooperative play. I only played one match online because when you're playing online, all of the players get input onto what mode and stage you play on. And I wanted to make sure I experimented in all of the modes and the scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you will notice that there are giant Morphies in the background of all the stages. They're called avatars. If you're doing really good, you can get the ability to take over them and temporarily and like either protect your allies or attack your enemies. And then in the various modes, they're often related to the win condition. The basic mode, the simplest mode, is just your avatar's size is dependent on the size of all of the parts of all of the members of your team, and whoever has the biggest avatar at the end of the time wins. There's a mode where the avatar's head is missing and it's green because the teams are red and blue, and you have to get the head to a cannon and then charge up the cannon to launch it back onto your avatar. There's one where you have to shoot the enemy's avatar actually and then donate the mass that you get from that to your avatar. There's one where the person with the most mass gets a special bonus, and the new Angelito mode is actually that every certain amount of time, whoever is the smallest will be replaced with an Angelito who can't be killed. They heal allies around them and can stun their enemies, but they can't like fight properly, and your team is eliminated when everybody on it is an Angelito. There are 10 maps, I think. Yeah, about 10 maps, maybe 9. You can play with any number of AIs from 0 to 7 for up to 8 players for a match. There are AI difficulty levels. So when you steal mass from a part, each part has a ability or a part of your parameters that gets better. So like a big head makes you charge your ability to take over the avatar temporarily faster. Legs make you jump higher. A big butt makes your butt rocket last longer because you have a jump jet that's in your butt and it's called a butt rocket. Feet make you run faster. Hands make you shoot faster. Arms help with your recoil, I think. Chest gives you... I heard some vaguely appropriate music. Chest gives you more health, that kind of thing. So, yeah. And there's a thing called a plug-in, which is basically a super weapon that recharges as you play, that you get to choose what... each one is associated with a certain body part and is more effective when that body part is larger, but you can only choose one before your match. I don't know, it's a little bit difficult to describe. Mostly you're playing to get in-game currency and unlock pinatas to unlock more different paint jobs, either whole paint jobs or decoration jobs or individual parts for your Morphies head or body. You also have different antenna choices for your head. I think new gun parts get unlocked with levels. The gun parts, there's a main part of your gun that mostly does affect rate of fire and stuff, and then there's a special attachment that can be like an ink gun that makes the ground slippery, or a rocket launcher, or a umbrella shield. On the Switch version, the default controls are the same as, the same way that Splatoon does, where your left and right is by stick, but you can tilt up and down. But that's hard for me because I move my controller up and down a lot while I'm playing. So you can change that to use your right stick for up and down too. So that's useful. The stages all have weird gimmicks, like some of them have a lot of butt rocket fuel spots. There's one where if you stand on the buildings, they sink into the ground. There's one if you stand on certain sections of the ground, buildings will grow out of it. There are a few with like trap stuff or destroyable walls. And some of them have like things that fans or little pipes that you can only go into if you're a certain size, or only get past if you're a certain size or whatever. So there's a good amount of variety here, but the downside, I feel like, is that the control is a little bit jittery, it felt to me, and for how much it is important to grow certain parts of you to make certain parts more functional, it can be rather difficult to hit certain parts of your opponent in the middle of a running firefight and you don't have that many hit points. Like, if you want your hands to get bigger, you have to shoot the opponents in the hands, which is a notably small target. If you're better at shooting games, you might have less of a problem with this than I did. The only other issue is, at least the way I was playing, i.e. being bad and not playing online, I was not unlocking enough currency to get much in terms of new designs or anything. And I didn't gain level super fast. I don't know if you gain more for playing online more, because I didn't. But it just seems like kind of slow, and at least in the Switch version, if there is any kind of option to spend real money on progression, I could not find it. I believe there is not one. I have not looked at the Steam option at all, although I know that the Steam version has a weird free demo that's basically all of the multiplayer versions of the game for free, except for after half an hour, all of the sound is replaced with farts, and they call that mode Fart Night because, that one game, what's popular. So yeah, that's about where we are. I enjoyed it reasonably well, even though I wasn't doing well at all. I just wish it was progressing a little faster and you didn't have to spend quite so much time to unlock stuff. I also wish there was a little bit more of a dedicated single-player mode because Splatoon, likewise, is a multiplayer shooter thing, and the single-player is still, robust and fun. So that's about where I stand. The Switch version of this game is $20. I believe the Steam version is also usually $20, but since they're promoting the Angelito update, it is currently $5, which is definitely a good deal for this. I would probably be willing to forgo the free demo and just go for that if I wanted to play the game at all based on the aesthetic and stuff. I kind of want to comment on the amount of Day of the Dead aesthetic in you get instruments to play for your post game and your emotes and just the designs and stuff, but I am nowhere near Mexican enough to have anything to say about that that's meaningful. So
neither were the developers. They're German.
Yeah, well, still, granted, but if they were Mexican, I would assume they knew what they were doing.
Uh-huh.
They're not, but I'm not Mexican enough to know if I should have a problem with it or not.
I get what you're saying.
Basically, I don't have grounds to worry about cultural appropriation here, but if you do, feel free to let us know and think about it, I guess, or let them know. So that's about all I got to say. Did you guys have any questions?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah, I guess ultimately the impression I get is that, and this should not surprise anyone, that Splatoon is overall a better game, a more polished game, but it's also like a first-party Nintendo game, not a small-ish third-party game, so...
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be quality difference.
Yeah, if there's one thing Nintendo does, it's they polish pretty much all of their releases to a mirror shine. So, if you like the mass stealing mechanic and you're good at shooting, then that would be when I would be more inclined to pick this up specifically rather than, even now that they're not doing Splatfest for Splatoon 2 anymore, it's still a really good game.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's worth checking out if you like the aesthetic and you like shooting games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay then. So yeah, I think that'll about do it for this installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. Coming up on the week ahead, let's see. We only have one show this week, no Friday show. On Wednesday, November 13th, we will be starting the season proper with Aaron Galinsky of Blowfish Studios. Longtime listeners might remember that we had Blowfish on the studios, way back a few years ago. Back in the Talk Shoe era, I do remember that. It was over the free-to-play Minecraft FPS Gunscape. Anyone here remember that thing?
It rings a bell.
Or was it just me? Anyway, we'll be talking about a number of games, actually. I'm not exactly sure how many we'll be talking about, because they publish I know they want to talk about at least 4 games that are upcoming. Let's see, Inflection, Kung Fu Kickball, Obey Me, and Element Space. I think, is Winter Ember in there as well? Possibly. I mean, and they just had some games come out, like Wispily and the Lost Atlas, which is a Kirby ripoff game, if I'm going to be honest here. It's honestly the thing that got my attention on them again. And they just released a game for the Apple Arcade called Projection First Light. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. And it's like, though the problem with that is, we might end up talking about 8 games, but spending 5 minutes on them. So we'll see how the approach goes. But anyway, point is, we got a lot of stuff to talk about on Wednesday. Hopefully you'll join us and welcoming us back to our 12th season. So until Wednesday, I wish you good gaming.